And then there's obviously the grenade scene where she like hits the guy, pulls a pin, slams the door on him, and holds the door while the explosion goes off. Like, that looks pretty cool. And it doesn't make sense in the rules of the world because we've already established that this clothing is bulletproof. So why would you want to expose that much skin? But let's be honest, her in that dress, we're gonna have a good time with that scene. That looks good, right? It looks very No Time to Die.
Yeah,
and, which if you remember that scene, it was also a very good scene.
Yeah, very sparkly dress for sure. But in terms of like Superman, like not much footage has come out, but like, has your opinion changed since we recorded?
What I really liked was when they're spraying him with like sunlight in the fortress, which is kind of a weird scene, but like you can definitely hear the John Williams theme starts to build, and then they kind of cut away from that. But I'm like, okay, if you remember, one of the things I said was I need the full orchestration of the John Williams theme to be in this movie, and it sounded like Recharging Superman was going to hit those notes. So I was like, all right, but really, I mean, we didn't see much that we hadn't seen before. Just we heard Lex talk, but I know what he sounds like.
Yeah,
I know what Nick Holt sounds like.
I'm surprised at this point there hasn't been a new trailer. Like, there's just that extended bit that they dropped in front of Minecraft, but like nothing else new.
I expected one with Thunderbolts or like around that time.
Yeah.
I don't know if they haven't found like a cut that they like, because he's got so much to prove with this movie. I feel like that they don't want to hit a wrong note with the trailer. So like I think they may be taking a little extra time to make sure that whatever they release is going to be, good.
I imagine they're going to put something in. There's got to be a new trailer coming out soon. I mean, like, it's in a few weeks. It's going to be 2 months away.
Yeah.
If anything, my bet is like in front of or the week of Mission Impossible comes out.
It's got to be with Mission Impossible.
Yeah. With that new footage that came out in front of Minecraft, like I saw there was a lot of gripes about like his yelp or scream.
Yeah, people are weird, man. Yeah. Like, if you have multiple broken bones and your super powered dog is jumping on you, probably hurts. Like, of all the things to take issue with, I don't understand that. It's like,
all right.
People are weird, man. People want to argue about everything.
Yeah, they do.
That and the goofy look he makes when the camera's like super close up on him, he's flying. I'm like, dude, what face do you make when there's like wind cannon in your face and the camera's like 3 feet away? Like, come on, context. Put that scene in context. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't bother me, but it didn't bother me in the sense that like, oh, that's goofy, but it did, like, I think I was like, you know what, people are gonna call this out. I think because I think it was just kind of very different. And it looked different from like other sort of past Superman iterations.
I mean, I think he's trying to make it feel real. So it's like, he said he was inspired by Top Gun. They're doing a lot of actual aerial footage and stuff. So it's like, you'd think if a guy's really flying, it's going to look different than what we've seen, which is usually either a dude in the 70s on a wire and like rotoscoped, or it's going to be like, Henry Cavill playing Jesus in slow motion for like 3 hours. Like, it's going to be different than that. I'm okay with different.
Speaking of different, if you are listening, we have a different voice here, though maybe familiar if you've listened to our episode 4 on Superman. We have Patrick Cohen back as a guest. Evan will be out for a few episodes while he's out on paternity leave. Patrick has graciously volunteered his time to guest co-host. So welcome back, Patrick.
Thank you. To be clear, I only agreed if I got to talk about Superman every episode. So get ready. Strap in, everybody.
Well, we're still working out the contract details, so we'll see. So, I mean, Evan's going to be out, and you have some big shoes to fill. We're going to need you to pull your weight in making a lot of Greek mythology and philosophy references and a lot of like use of SAT prep words.
I will try. I'm not nearly as smart as Evan, but I will try to forget actor names as often as he does. I'll do my best. I think I can nail that part of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're pretty good with recalling names and movie titles. Though you've messed up Thunderbirds right before we were recording.
I did, which is embarrassing. That movie that I never saw from 25 years ago. You'd think I'd remember the name of it.
So, what have you seen recently? Did you see Thunderbolts?
I saw Thunderbolts. I did. I saw The Accountant 2, and I saw Thunderbolts the last 2 weeks. I still want to see Sinners.
You haven't seen
Thunderbolts?
Sinners?
I haven't. No, I want to. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it opening night. It was good. But Thunderbolts, I just saw it last night. And since Evan isn't here, I feel like we should just like talk about it and just spoil it for him. Sorry, Evan.
Yeah, let's make sure he listens to this before he sees the movie so we can really ruin his experience.
But yeah, what'd you think of it?
Generally, I liked it. Generally, I thought overall for me it was a little bit of a mixed bag. But I think generally speaking, the characters were really well drawn. I thought I liked all the performances. I've turned into a big Florence Pugh fan. I like her Black Widow. Um, are they officially calling her Black Widow? I don't know if she's got like official title in the Marvel universe yet, but I know she's a widow. But I don't know like what her call sign is on the team. But she's great. I love David Harbour in it. I think he's hilarious. He stole every scene.
He's great.
It's
And they
just
needed more of
and
him.
I think so. And I think overall it felt like a Marvel movie, whereas like some of the movies recently felt like they're like really trying to make you remember that you like this stuff. So just pay the money and watch the fight, whereas this one felt a little bit more like maybe a phase one or an early phase two Marvel movie. Not, maybe not one of the better ones, but it felt like it was in that a little bit more of a Marvel movie that I would sit down and watch again. Like it was fun. I liked the interactions. I think it needed more of a third act. For me, it kind of fell apart a little bit. Part of that is I think because we didn't really have a villain and we didn't really have, and I don't need everything to be Thanos. I don't need everything to be the universe ends, high stakes.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's okay to have a lower stake movie, but I feel like it kind of, and I loved overall the themes. I like the idea that really the enemy here is the darkness of depression and all the stuff that we're kind of all going through right now. I like the theme, but I still think we need a little bit more of like a third act. It was kind of just like we deal with the thing we deal with, and then Julia Dreyfus comes back and it's surprise, and we kind of it's over, which I thought the ending, I like the little montage. I don't know how much we're spoiling, but I like the little montage at the end. I like the callback to the Wheaties box. There's a lot of stuff that worked for me, but I think it was kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy if we didn't have Ronan and we didn't have the actual threat that needed to be overcome. If it was just like, we're going to get this stone to the collector, we did it, let's dance. Like that, it kind of feels like, and if that was the end of the movie, that's what it felt like to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel sort of the same way. I thought I liked it. It was good. I think what helped maybe me enjoy it more is because the last few Marvel movies have just not been great.
Yeah.
Brave New World.
Oh, oh,
But yeah, like it was, I was actually surprised, like going in like the first 45 minutes, I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of, it was structured a little different. Just
mhm.
like that whole long sequence was like almost like half the movie before they escaped. And I was like, oh, they're doing a little something different here. It's not sort of
Yeah.
like your traditional, like, oh, set piece, set piece, set piece.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love the different characters just bouncing off each other. Harbor's great,
Yeah.
Pugh's great. I even liked Wyatt Russell's U.S. agent. I thought they all had a nice little chemistry. They worked and riffed off to each other really well.
Yeah.
I liked Bob. I forget his name.
Mhm.
Lewis Pullman. He was good.
Bill
And
Pullman's son.
is it?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, dude. That's Lone Star Jr.
Wow. Did not
Yeah.
know that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of these. And then Wyatt Russell's. I know Wyatt Russell's is
Kurt
um,
Russell's son. Yeah.
Kurt Russell's son. So yeah, wow, a lot of children popping out.
A lot of nepotism, man. Keeping me and Evan from getting these roles. Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. And I just I don't know. It doesn't feel like one that I would like rewatch like right away.
Mhm.
I didn't really care for the post credit scene, like the reveal. I feel like they're just like building that too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, that feels like it's for the first 10 minutes of the next Avengers movie, where you've got like these warring Avengers teams, and there's like the bet, like the one of them's got the name and one of them's got the better powers. It feels like it's set up for the first act of the next Avengers movie
Yeah.
instead of
I mean, I
dealing.
like the conversations that they were having and like, oh, this and that, but then like what they saw on the screen was like
Oh, I
that
see what you're saying. The actual
that
visual of yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah, that reveal. I was like,
yeah,
I feel like they're just really hyping that up,
yeah.
and I'm actually less hyped about it.
If that doesn't hit, they're in trouble because yeah, it feels like they're putting a lot of focus on that
Y-
right now.
Oh yeah, I saw
Yeah.
it in IMAX. I saw Thunderbolts in IMAX, and like even the IMAX countdown was promoting that
Mm. Yeah,
movie. So
yeah,
like they're really putting a lot of money behind that.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's way better than Brave New World, and I think it's a good one for Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was as enjoyable for me as Wolverine, Deadpool Wolverine. I don't think it was as good as Guardians 3 or Spider-Man No Way Home. But except for those movies, I think it's probably as good or better than anything that's come out since Endgame.
Cool. Well, let's
Yeah.
get into it.
All
So
right.
welcome. All right, I'm doing the intro for the first time, so if I bungle it, that's what I do.
That's
Uh,
showbiz, baby. That's showbiz.
welcome to trailer. Hey, there we go. Welcome to Trailer Teardowns. I'm Angel Acevedo, joined by guest co-host Patrick Cohen, and today we are discussing the trailer for From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. That's the full official title, which I'll tell you right now, I don't like that, but I get it, why they're doing it.
We'll get into it. Yeah.
All right, give us the
Uh,
background.
all right. So, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, which is the last time I'm ever going to say that full title out loud, I promise you. This movie is directed by Len Wiseman, who is mostly, I think you'd agree, right? Mostly known for the Underworld movies. He directed
Yeah,
Live Free or Die Hard, which is the second worst Die Hard movie, and a bunch of TV shows. He's been doing, I think, some CW work lately. We'll talk about that when we get back to it. It's starring Ana de Armas, who big fan over here, big fan.
big fan.
Ian McShane, who, if you've never seen Deadwood, I love this podcast, but stop listening to this podcast and go watch Deadwood. He's awesome in that. Norman Reedus in the role of Norman Reedus, and Lance Reddick, rest in power. Loved him on The Wire. This movie is coming out June 6th, 2025, and there's a bit of a delay with this movie.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
I think we should talk when we get around to it about how much of this movie maybe Len Wiseman did direct. I think it started shooting in November 2022 and went to post in February of 2023. But I think it was supposed to come out last summer. It's like
Yes.
June 2024. So I think there's something's been going on back there. And according to the information here that was sourced by a very smart man, Len Wiseman hasn't directed a feature film since 2012, the Total Recall remake, which
Can we talk about?
full disclosure, I've never seen that full movie. I think I watched parts of it on HBO Max.
So
Um,
wow,
yeah,
that's so I've known Patrick since so long, 2006, so like almost 20 years.
oh god,
And when I met you and I've known you, you were like seeing everything. Not everything,
everything.
but you would see like anything big, franchise, action movie, sci-fi movie, you were there, seeing it in theaters, and like just hearing this now really surprised me. Because I know you love Total Recall, and granted, Total Recall, the original is amazing, but like I
Yeah,
feel like this is a surprise that you didn't see it all. I saw it all in theaters. It sucked.
yeah. This was an era where I was still trying to fight for Arnold to go back into movies, and Total Recall is such an Arnold movie, right? Get your ass
Mhm.
to Mars, see the party, Richter. Like you can't even imagine this movie without him. And then I have since grown to really love Colin Farrell. I think Colin Farrell is great.
Yeah, he's good.
2012 Colin Farrell, I was like, what are we talking about? Like Bullseye and Daredevil, right?
Oh,
Yeah, SWAT with Sam Jackson. Like I'm not like whatever, you know. Um, since then he's done a lot of really good work, and I've become quite a fan. But back then I was like, I'm not going to go see this movie directed by the Underworld guy, um, whose wife is really gorgeous. I'm not going to go see
ex-wife
ex-wife. Well, and not in
now.
2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't need to see this movie by this guy who doesn't make movies that I like, starring this guy who I don't like. When I just want to pop in the DVD. Whenever I hear the words Total Recall, I feel like I could watch that movie right now and I'll pop in the DVD. Back then in 2012, now I'll just push a button because we live in the future, Angel.
Yeah.
So I had no desire to see it, and I saw one or two clips since then, which reinforced the idea that I was right not to see it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I totally forgot about this movie. And then when I was like just looking up credits for, people working on the movie, I was like, holy cow, I forgot he did this. And like, holy cow, he hasn't directed a feature since in 13 years.
Mhm.
And like they plucked him to direct this spin-off for a really hit franchise. I was like, why him? I mean,
Yeah,
I there's like a bunch of other directors I feel like that, could do this job.
I wonder if it's as stupid as Hot Girl Kicks Ass. Who's made a movie with a hot girl that kicks ass before? I wonder if it's
Yeah.
I wonder if it's as dumb as that. You know?
Possibly. Yeah. And like, yeah. So, like, looking at his credits, he's done just a bunch of TV shows. They were all pilots. I was surprised. Like, he done Swamp Thing pilot, Hawaii Five-O, and a couple other, like, procedural type things. So, he was just, like, kind of, like, living off that and just, like, content with, being married to Kate Beckinsale. And
Who
then,
wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be?
and then, yeah. So, I don't really care for his other movies. The Free Your Heart's fine.
Mhm, mhm.
I think it's obviously better than A Good Day to Die Hard.
I couldn't even remember the name of that one. Is that what that was called? Oh
A Good Day
God.
to Die Hard.
Oh
And
God.
yeah, the first Underworld is okay. I don't think I saw the sequel. If I did, I just saw it for Kate Beckinsale. But yeah, like So we got Len Wiseman to direct this, and then unfortunately, it seems like he didn't do a good job, and this movie's been delayed.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be several moments. So you may not know this about me, Angel, but I'm a big Superman fan.
Hmm.
And if you watch Superman 2, you can kind of see the Frankenstein's monster that is part Richard Donner and part Richard Lester, right? They fired Donner, they brought in another director, and it's kind of stitched together. Similarly, if you think about the Justice League movie, Joss Whedon came in and it feels like it's not really a cohesive movie, right? I have a feeling this is going to feel that way, where you're going to have some moments that feel kind of TV, kind of, they killed my father. Let me put out your flamethrower with a garden hose. There's going to be some of that stuff, and then my guess is because of reshoots, there'll be some stuff that feels a little more movie, a little more John Wick, a little more. And that also, by the way, might be second unit directors stuff. That,
Hmm.
when they're doing the fight scenes are probably going to feel a little bit more like the world. But I feel like it's going to be a bit of a mess. But that's just my initial
I
impression.
think we gotta, obviously we should see the movie and give our take on that. But yeah, but that's the thing is like you hear this and you're like, oh, that raises some red flags, and it's like, oh, what's wrong? Don't mess
Yeah.
up this John Wick franchise stuff. So, just I mean, diving into John Wick, you are a John Wick fan, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Except I hate watching dogs get hurt. It's my kryptonite. So I watched the first one in theaters and I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate this movie. What? It's because as soon as you see the puppy, you're like, well, that dog's gonna die. There's no way that dog lives through this movie. But knowing what I know about this genre, and sure enough, you hear the yelp of pain from the dog, and I'm like, I'm out. I hate this movie. I'm going to write a letter to my congressman. They should not make this movies anymore. But then it's so good, it wins you back. And and it's. I mean, I really like the first movie and the world in general. I think they created a really cool world with like the coins and the continents and all that stuff is really cool.
Yeah, no, I like the world. By the fourth one, do you feel like you're kind of like over it? Were you like satisfied that it ended, how it ended? Like, are you like, oh, I want to see more?
So I didn't feel like it ended. I'm like the one person that was like, there's no way he's dead. A, because I know that they can print money anytime they decide they want to. They're going to make another John Wick movie. But you never really, it really had that sense of like fake funeral to me. There's that scene if you watch where the dog kind of looks off to the side as if he's like, look, maybe John Wick's like behind a tree watching his own funeral. Like I kind of got that sense. So I never really bought it. Um, I do think it got a little tired. I mean, I think I love Donnie Yen. I really like the fourth movie in general. But there's a moment where like because you saw that there's a moment where they're fighting on the stairs and Keanu falls like all the way down the stairs and has to get back up and like he just has this reaction where he's like exhausted and I was like that's how I felt as a viewer. I'm like I've been watching
Yes.
2 hours of like nonstop headshots and like flips and kicks and judo. And it's like they have to do that because the last one had 300 dead bodies. This one has to have 350, right? Like that's the nature of sequels. But it
Yeah.
gets to the point where you're like, how big? I feel the same way with the Mission Impossible movies. It's like, how much bigger can you go, man? Like, are we at capacity yet?
The fourth one, we saw it together.
Yeah.
And yeah, like almost 3 hours, and it was like 15 minutes of just no action, and then the rest of it was just action. I
Mhm.
had a good time, but like it was a drain. Like, and you kind of, I felt like you said that sequence when he's falling down the stairs, just like you felt for him, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I remember the audience was like, like groaning, like, oh no.
I mean, on the one hand, that's really cool. That's a very visceral shared reaction we all had, and
Hmm.
and and there are standout moments like the weird like flaming bullets he was shooting in that one sequence, like that oneer from a overhead where they track
Oh
him through a
yes,
building and it's only lit by like the flaming bullets. Like that sequence is amazing, right? And
yeah.
there's lots of really cool moments like that. Like the third one with Holly Berry and the dogs, like the dog stuff really stood out because I hadn't seen that kind of stunt work before. Like this,
Hmm.
there's standout moments in each one, but I don't know that I'm tired of the world, but I feel like if you make these movies too often and too big, it's like how do you not run out of steam, or how do you feel like well the last one was better, right? Like you're going to start to feel like that
Yeah.
way.
And then it just turns into Fast and the Furious.
Right, exactly. All about family.
But yeah, obviously, and right now we know they've announced that they're gonna do a John Wick 5 and that Keanu Reeves is coming back. So why? How are they gonna do that? It's yeah. All right. Well, that's another podcast. But so diving into the trailer, like immediate thoughts, like on this. So we're looking at the very first trailer that came out 7 months ago in September. Obviously,
Yeah.
there are a couple other trailers that show more. So we're just going off our first taste for that trailer. So what stood out? What instant reactions on that?
So I I have a problem. I have a perhaps irrational, perhaps rational, we can talk about it, hatred of prequels. Like I hate prequels. I think it
But you
is
do love continuity.
I love continuity, which is why I hate prequels because it never lines up. It never ends in a place where you're like, well, that makes sense. So my first reaction to this trailer was a groan because this little girl who's going to grow up to be our hero is rescued or at least met and is about to have her life changed by Ian McShane, who looks 175 years old. He looks 175 years old.
Yeah.
And he looks, and I'm not, I understand how time works. We age, we get fake teeth, we get leathery skin. I get how it works. But he looks 20 years older than he did in John Wick 1. And this is supposed to be like when she's a little girl. It's like prequels don't work for me. I always have a problem with that. And Marvel's done some really great de-aging stuff. I don't need necessarily that. I need to not have prequels made anymore. They drive me nuts. And there's no reason for a prequel. We can talk about that. But so that was my first reaction was like, oh God. And it allows you to have Lance Reddick come back in the Continental, and I love Lance. I'm happy to, rest in power, Lance. I'm happy to see him on screen. But it's like prequels just never work, right? So that stands out to me always. And it's like, well, we have to get. I'm sure the rationale was we have to have a little cameo by, and maybe more than a little cameo by Keanu Reeves, and he's quote unquote dead, so we have to do a flashback or a prequel to have him in it. But they're doing John
Well,
Wick 5. They've already announced it. So they don't even need that.
but do you? I mean, are you classifying this as a prequel? I feel like it's prequel adjacent, but like I don't.
Well,
I wouldn't
it
even.
has to be a prequel. It has to be unless the
I
whole
mean,
movie's
there's
a flashback, in which case the whole movie, the flashback sequence is still a prequel because
yeah.
Angelica Houston's dead. They killed her in the third one. So her character, all these ballerinas don't exist anymore. This whole organization was wiped out in the third John Wick movie because of his actions, right? So like it doesn't make any sense if it's not a prequel.
Well, but would you consider though? It's hard to. I mean, there are elements that are prequel. Like, yeah, we're seeing an earlier version of Ian McShane and earlier version of Angelica Houston, but like the story, the narrative is driven by Ana de Armas' character Eve.
Yeah.
So like this is the first time we're seeing her story. So like it's not really a prequel for her. Yes, we're seeing other elements that are connected to
Well,
like the whole world, but I wouldn't call
but
it a
John Wick.
prequel.
But
Well,
John Wick is there, and
yeah, but like I don't know if you've heard this supposedly takes place between 3 and 4.
yeah, yeah. So I should clarify. I think obviously there are moments that are prequel to the whole franchise,
Mhm.
but this is going to slot in before 4, which makes it a prequel to 4. And I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but I hate prequels, Angel.
I'm trying to find a comp to see if you would consider that a prequel.
What was the Born movie
Born
with
Legacy?
Jeremy Renner?
Legacy. I wouldn't call
It
that a
takes,
prequel.
but it takes place right before
Yeah.
or right during the last Bourne movie. So, and you actually walks by Jason Bourne at the end, and Bourne's like on his way to like the third act of that movie.
Well, do you consider is it Fast 6 a prequel?
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what happened to Fast Six. I've lost my way with those movies, but probably.
Or oh wait, is Fast 6 considered the prequel or Tokyo Drift? I'm not like so in tune with the timeline, but like Tokyo Drift has an element that happens at the end of Fast 6, if I recall, something like that. But I'm trying to find a comp. I'll think of a comp later. But I wouldn't consider this a prequel. I mean, I don't know, because it doesn't feature characters. I mean, the main character's not driving. I don't know. Tomato.
Tomato Toritas.
All right, so you're turned off. So you're like, I don't really care for a sequel.
That's my knee jerk.
Or prequel.
That's my knee jerk reaction. Yep.
Okay.
And I like her a lot. Show me a scene of her in a sexy dress doing high kicks. I'm on board. It seemed a little bit to me like the gunplay was her doing an impression of Keanu Reeves, and I feel like maybe they could have found her own style a little bit. Maybe like she's a ballerina. Couldn't it be like a more graceful version? He's such a brawler. He's like a foot taller than everybody, and he's like throwing people around. Like she's not going to have that fighting style. Why would she? She could move a little bit. And again, the trailer doesn't show you a lot. I'm extrapolating a lot here. But
No,
I
I called that out. I had a little note about that, and I was like, is that like? Yeah, I took that like as that was John Wick style, but then like she's sort of doing that like angled and like I was like, wait, do they teach? Is that just like the training style that they do? I don't know. Obviously, maybe we'll see that, but like I took that as like John Wick style and like his way of doing shooting.
I mean, I think it's the Terran Tactical, 8711. That's the name of the stunt team, right? Like I think it's their version, but they built it for John Wick, so build one for her. Like
yeah.
She shouldn't fight like Black Widow, right? But she shouldn't fight like Bruce Lee. Like she should have her version of this,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the gunplay, because I feel like what they did really well with Scarlet and with the Marvel Black Widow character is like the flipping with the feet and all that stuff became like a style that we hadn't seen before, and it became like her version of fighting. It's like that's and it makes you believe this girl that's half their size could take these guys down because it just looks like this big powerful move. What's her version of that, right? And it really looked like they were just doing a John Wick impression, and that might be a problem. I don't know.
So when I was diving into the trailer of this, and yeah, I had some questions relating to that, but then I was just thinking, I was like, wait, do you think, and maybe I missed this story beat in the original John Wick movies, but is it implied that he also went through this training? Because when you think she's she's in this, I don't know if they dub it the ballerina program, but there are guys in the training room with her, like look like they're also students. I don't know if you
Yeah,
caught that.
yeah. There, it's the. So I should have rewatched the movies before this. They're like gypsies that raised him. So he was raised by this. It's like a family, not like genetic family, but like mobster family, right? Like this
Hmm.
of the five families. This is like one of the families, right? And they're under the table or whatever in this world, and they're like they raised him. He was taken in by them. I don't think they taught him ballet, but they taught him to fight, and he became Baba Yaga working for from their
The Ruska Roma.
upbringing. Yeah, the Rescue Roma. That's what it is. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
upbringing, right?
So
So
like so you think he did go through that sort of same
I don't know if it was the
school?
same training, but it was
Okay.
the same organization. So they may have a separate
Got it.
training. They may have like the Red Room for the Black Widows, and then
Hmm.
like MI6 for the James Bonds. Like they might have different
Got it.
training styles, but it's all under the same family.
Got it. Got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Because initially I was like, oh, she's doing the sort of like widow type programs, all women. But I'm like, oh, wait, I did catch there are some guys standing in line in the
Well,
same.
somebody has to get kicked in the balls when they're training. They need balls to kick.
I assume that one guy, well, not specifically that guy, but like if you go back, you'll see like when she's standing in front of whatever the instructor, there's like two guys also in line with her. But I just assumed it was an all female class. But anyways, so in terms of what I sort of like instant reactions that I had and thoughts is like it doesn't obviously has a more serious tone than at least the first John Wick trailer, and maybe the John Wick 1 trailer didn't. I don't know. I went back and looked at John Wick 1's trailer, and it has a lighter tone to it.
Mhm.
Obviously there's like the serious aspects of it all, and but that one has plays more serious than this, or sorry, less serious than this. This trailer is more we're serious about this, and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's gonna have that kind of like, I don't want to call it straight up. It's like a different kind of humor. It's like this. It's not even dark humor. It's just this sort of the tone and vibe of the world and like the character and what they do and how everything's sort of like not ironic, but like has just like this like cool slang to things that I was like, oh, it has a different vibe. I mean, it still looks like John Wick World, but just the way the trailers presented it didn't have like some of that humorous elements that the John Wick one did have. But Ana de Armas, like I have a crush on her. I'll admit that. My wife knows that. So, but yeah, I think I don't think it showed too much. Just like overall, like the trailers cut kind of like your standard action trailer kind of sets up, like who she is, where she's come from, and what she's going through. Though it does feel a little imbalanced toward the end where, oh, here's our reveal and showing John Wick and like they have that
Yeah,
interaction. I would have preferred if they just showed him walking down the stairs, like just that glimpse. That would have been like cool instead of adding him at the end and this like he's talking in the trailer and all of that.
yeah. I think for me, it feels like it becomes his movie at the end of this trailer, and it's like, get ready for John Wick 5. We're gonna have a little preview instead of like her movie. And I think a way to fix that is finish the trailer, have it be her story, and then at the very end have her ask, just for cutting the trailer. At the very end, have her ask like, how do I do what you do? Don't say Baba Yaga, don't refer, and then just cut to his face, be like, it looks like you're already doing it. Boom, right? That way
Yeah.
you could have that same effect without having him take over her show, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, one of the things that was really cool about John Wick was that he was a professional, and this time it's personal. Like that was the original John Wick premise, right? And so you're in this world of professionals, and he's the only one taking it personally.
Well,
They're even like, yeah. I mean, he's coming after the guy's son, but it's because it's personal that the guy's like hiring puts out a contract on him, and all these professionals try to, and they all obey the rules of the Continental except for the one Adrian, what's her name, who doesn't obey the rules, and it's like
Yeah.
yeah, and you know what I mean? Like that's a cool world. Now here, halfway through this trailer, when she's like, "They killed my father," it's like, great, it's another personal. Wouldn't it be cooler if we just saw a purely professional story about this badass woman
Oh yeah.
hitman? Like
I
because
see what
I
you're
feel like
saying.
we haven't really seen that part of this world yet, which is the cool part of the world. Which is like there are these rules. You get this coins for these jobs. Let me see a movie about this girl that learns to do this and gets these jobs, right? I
Hmm.
don't. Otherwise, it's just John Wick 5. It's like
boobs.
with
Yeah.
boobs. A much better looking in that dress than Keanu Reeves would probably be.
Yes.
But other than that, it's just John Wick, and it's like I don't know. It seems like a missed opportunity to be like, let me see a really professional, not personal. And obviously, it gets personal because someone goes after her. Or something. But but give me the world that she's going to be. That John Wick was
Hmm.
the the outlier. Show me the world without him. You know.
Yeah, that's a good take. Yeah, because there was something about it. It's like, yeah, I'm excited to see this. I love the John Wick world, love action, loved Ana de Armas. But like, there was like, there's something not clicking, and like, yeah, it's like we're seeing the same thing. It's yeah, it's not a dog, it's a dad that she's getting revenge for. But yeah, that it would have been cool to like, okay, like even not even see like the sort of like how did she become this? It's like actually doing the jobs, and then maybe she's then we see her like get blacklisted or whatever, and then it's
Right.
like, and I get why he's John Wick's in it. You got to sell this. You got to you got to get the John Wick fans. I'm curious if like the first version of this movie had him in it, or was he part of the reshoots?
I feel like she's been talking about him for a while. Like early in the press, she was talking about how like she was exhausted. There's like this interview with her where she's talking about how she was exhausted and everything hurt. And all of a sudden, Keanu Reeves, who's like almost 30 years older than her, shows up and does this intense fight scene, and he motivated her to like really keep going. And like that was like I feel like early enough that it must have been principal photography. So I feel like he had to be a part of this. But
Mm,
because again, I think the whole premise of setting it where they set it so they could put him in it. There's no reason not to do a sequel unless you want to have at the time you think this dead character in it, right?
yeah.
But I don't know. I also feel like it reeks a little bit of desperation in the marketing. If you remember when the Incredible Hulk came out, and after like the first week, they were like Iron Man was like the secret that Robert Downey Jr. was at the end of that movie, and then like a
Hmm.
weekend he was like front and center in the trailer. It looked like it was like Iron Man and Hulk was going to be they presented it like he was in the movie, and I think this feels a little bit like that to me. Like they're really trying to be like, if you like John Wick, come see John Wick, and also there's a girl. It feels a little bit like that in the marketing right now.
Yeah, I imagine once the movie comes out, all the TV spots are gonna just like heavily feature John Wick.
Yeah.
Curious to see how much of it he's in the movie. Little thing that stood out: club shootouts. I mean, that's like kind of like a staple in the John Wick movies. They're in a nightclub, they're shootout. It's like the James Bond. He always got to visit a casino, right? But in this, and like, these are quick cuts in the trailer, but like nobody noticed these gunfights happening. Like, like I was like, no one pays attention. Like even in the John Wick 4, like that whole sequence with the big guy in the big
Oh,
suit.
dude, Scott Atkins was so good in that. I loved him in that.
Yeah. Like no one, if I recall, like no one's really reacting to like what's going on, and they're just everyone's just still dancing and raving.
Well, there's a lot of Molly. They're on a lot of Molly, I think.
True. Drugs, alcohol. Yeah, man. Norman Reedus.
Oh God,
Or should I say Daryl?
it's just Daryl.
Is this another spin-off? Is
I
Walking
I
Dead
fe-
moving into this?
I
Like,
feel like he's about to tell her to watch back because there's a zombie behind her. He just feels like he's in an episode of He's got the same hair. He looks like he hasn't showered since season 1 of The Walking Dead. It's like, dude, clean it up a little bit for a major motion picture, man. Come on now, you know.
I feel like he's done another movie or two or something else while doing Walking Dead, and he looks the same. And
Yeah.
everything he does, he looks the
I
same.
mean, maybe it's contractual. Maybe he can't cut his hair or shave. Like, maybe there's like rules for when you're on that show. But it doesn't feel like he's trying. It feels like it's just like, oh, you know what would be good in the scene is if we had Daryl. Let's bring Daryl in
Yes.
for one day. It just feels like that.
Yeah. He's. I mean, I like him, but yeah, it's just like that's Daryl, right? Like that could be just spliced footage from season 5.
Absolutely.
Okay, what did you love? Like, what any cool moments in the movie in the trailer that really stuck out? Like, all right, even though you might like not totally digging the trailer, but like, what's like, oh, that's cool. I love that.
There's like a scene where because she's so little, right? So there's a scene where she's like hanging on this dude's arm over like a table or something. She breaks his arm and in like some jujitsu hold. That looked pretty cool, and that looked like something I hadn't quite seen. Like it took her whole weight. Like she had to hang on his arm to do that move, which I thought was kind of cool. And then there's obviously the grenade scene where she like hits the guy, pulls a pin, slams the door on him, and holds the door while the explosion goes off. Like that looks pretty cool. And it doesn't make sense in the rules of the world because we've already established that this clothing is bulletproof. So why would you want to expose that much skin? But let's be honest, her in that dress, it's we're gonna have a good time with that scene. Look, it looks that looks good, right? Look, it looks very No Time to Die.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, which if you remember that scene, it was also a very good scene.
Yeah. Very sparkly dress for sure. Do you think if she didn't have that part in No Time to Die, do you think this movie would be made with her?
If she didn't have that part in No Time to Die, she wouldn't be anybody we're talking about because she only got Knives Out because of the Bond movie. And I think that's kind of what catapulted her. Like Daniel Craig recommended her for Knives Out after working with her on the Bond movie. I
Oh,
think she
but
would. I think she would
Knives
have been
Out
like,
came
well, yeah,
No, Knives Out
because
came
Bond
out
has to be in
before.
post. Bond has to be in post for a lot longer than Knives Out. I bet.
No, Knives
My
Out came out in 2019.
my understanding from an interview with Daniel Craig, and maybe I am misremembering, or maybe he misrepresented it, but my understanding was he recommended her for Knives Out after Bond. Maybe it was the other way around, but I think it was that.
All right, we'll fact check the production timelines for these two films, but
I want everybody to know that if I'm incorrect, we're going to cut this from the episode.
and if you're incorrect, you're fired. You're not coming back.
Evan's going to have to leave the kid at home.
One I thought it was cool. I mean, physics wise, it may not be accurate, but I thought the fire hose versus the flamethrower was pretty awesome.
Ah,
I
I
thought it was cool.
yeah, I was like, do you remember that scene in Billy Madison where he's sitting in the bathtub and he's like, shampoo is better, conditioner is better. That all I could think was like, fire is better, water is better. It felt to me like somebody was like, you know what you do for fire is you douse it with water. It felt like a very current American intellectual pursuit. It reminded me of that scene in the first GI Joe movie where they're underwater in the Arctic and they blow up the Cobra base, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Watch out for falling ice!" And all these giant tons of ice are falling on them, and you're like, "Dude, you're underwater. Ice floats. Come on!" It's like you've got a fire hose. It's gonna put out it's gonna put out the fire. Like this is not
Yeah, yeah.
like
I mean,
come
yeah,
on. This
obviously
is
the
not
physics, I think it's just
yeah.
visually awesome and her like just like intensity, like just screaming. It got me. I'm like, all right, that's pretty badass. I haven't seen that
Yeah.
before.
It looked very Weissman to me.
Nah, I don't think Glenn Wiseman can do something cool like that. I dug it. And it is it's a fast-paced 2 minute and change trailer, but again, very similar to like the John Wick movies. It doesn't seem like heavy reliant on CGI and VFX. Granted, latter John Wicks definitely used it, but like I think they used it pretty well. This one, nothing really stuck out like, because I feel like not like key franchise movies where they have a lot of success and the director's like, oh, I want to do it this way, practical. I feel like this, again, with like a subpar director, be like, oh, let's just do CGI. Again, a lot of this may have been just reshot and all that and have it sort of just like play it more real, like that sequence. Again, it's hard to tell. It's not like each scene's going to have like a footnote like, oh, this was a reshoot. But the other scene that I thought was cool was the hatchet fight where she's like taking on like 3 different guys, like just like swinging them back and forth or just
Yeah.
that I thought that looked fun.
I liked there's a scene where she's just like stabbing the crap out of a guy. She like basically shivving this guy like a bunch of times. Like that looks there's gonna be some fun stuff in here for sure.
Oh, did you like the tiny dancer use of
You
Tiny
know,
Dancer?
it's a little on the nose. I think it's a little on the nose. I actually would have liked it better if they kept it in the background, like the music box version of it, and then maybe go orchestral with it, because we all know that song. I don't know that I need to hear Elton singing it, because it's like it feels like it's a little, it might go like one step too far. Like I don't know that I need that much of it, but I don't know. I mean,
The song lyrics contain Ballerina, so it's like, all right, let's just use that. It was just like the trailer for Gladiator 2. There's a lot of like people complaining over the use of the Jay-Z song. And they're like, this doesn't make sense. Why is this trailer set in ancient Roman times using a modern rap song? Oh, well, he says Colosseum, so let's use it.
I like the trailer better than the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But I didn't mind the use of the Jay-Z song. All right, what else here? Patrick, I don't know if you're caught up with all of our episodes, but we started doing a few episodes ago where it's called YouTube Comment Corner, where I highlight a couple YouTube comments that are pretty funny or that like are maybe poignant.
Yeah.
I have a couple here that stuck out to me. So the first comment that stuck out, I was very disappointed that her reason was her dead father and not her dead cat.
That's pretty funny. I like that.
And then another one here, you kind of related to something maybe you said earlier, what the Black Widow movie should have been.
Mm.
What do you think about that? Do you agree? I
Um,
mean, granted,
you,
we haven't seen this movie, so
we haven't seen this movie yet. I don't know that I needed the Black Widow movie to be an origin story. I feel like Marvel, like we get it. We had a bunch of flashbacks to her in the Red Room earlier, and we have a bunch in that movie. So I don't know that I needed that to be so much that. I definitely think they could have leaned a little bit more hard R, or at least had her be a little more of a murderer in the Black Widow movie. Even though she's an Avenger now, I think one of the things that Marvel did really well in the earlier era was like Winter Soldier felt like a different tone than Guardians of the Galaxy. It felt like a different tone than Iron Man 3, right? Like, and I think like it might have been fun if Black Widow was a little bit more violent, a little bit more like, you know, the red in her ledger. We get to see a little bit, you know. So I agree with it in that sense. I don't know that I needed it to be John Wick style. Like she's not going to kill 500 people with a handgun. Like I don't need that movie.
well, it seems like this person who commented wasn't a fan of Black Widow. I forget. Were you a fan of Black Widow?
I liked it more than a lot of people did. I think that had a lot going against it. I think I think came out when everybody was scared in the middle of the pandemic and they couldn't get a theatrical release. And I think they probably rushed into the VFX. And I think I loved Red Guardian in it, and it introduced the world to Florence Pugh's Black Widow. So not a bad time for me. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I haven't seen it since it came out. Now, would you going back to our earlier sort of debate at the beginning? Is this a prequel, or is Black Widow a prequel?
Yes, it takes place before
But
Infinity War, but
okay, but you
after
like it. It's one of the rare
after Civil War.
prequels you like. Then
Um, I don't like the prequel elements of it. I don't think it quite lines up with where she needs to be in Infinity War. But you know, and I didn't have all these questions about like where'd she get that vest? You know, like there's a lot of stuff in prequels where they try to like overly line up stuff that you don't care about. Here's how Han Solo got that fuzzy dice you never noticed were hanging in the Millennium Falcon. It's like, dude, just I don't need this. I don't need this stuff.
but I feel like you would be like, well, how did they do this? What is this? I feel like as a continuity guy,
I love continuity, but I feel like they focus on the wrong stuff. Instead of like character motivation and raison d'etre, they focus on like, and this is how you got the Luke Skywalker lightsaber that you're going to give to him in the next movie. It's like I don't need such a focus on the minutia, and I feel like the bigger picture stuff never seems to work out. Like, don't you think Vader would remember that he built C-3PO when he sees him in Cloud City? Angel,
I
come on, man.
well, they fixed that with memory wipe these droids.
It's it's no bueno, I tell you.
All right. I feel like that's going to be a recurring theme we'll have in our episodes.
Every time they make a prequel, I will rail against it, and every now and then I will enjoy it. I like Andor more than I thought I would, and that talk about a prequel. That's a prequel to a prequel, man. That's prequel squared. Yeah, my head hurts from that prequeling that's going on there.
Okay, cool. Anything else about the trailer that you want to discuss?
I hate the name. I think there's no reason in the trailer you can't say "From the World of John Wick" as like a trailer telling me that. But why does that have to be part of the official title? It's to me it just seems exactly like a Knives Out mystery, right? And I don't blame Ryan Johnson for being like pissed that that's like how he has to present these movies, right? A Knives Out
Yeah.
mystery instead of just like a movie. Figure it out, guys. Figure it out for the
Yeah.
marketing.
I understand from like what the studio perspective they need to do. They need to sell this movie. It's IP. It's in this IP world. And how do people know this IP world? It's John Wick. And like and the way it's being presented on the poster, it's sort of like pre-subtitled and like its emphasis is ballerina.
If John Wick is in the movie, in the trailer for the movie, I know it's in the world of John Wick, right?
I know, you know, but the general populace, the audiences are not, you know, you gotta put it on a platter for them and like handhold them and all that. But I get it. Yeah.
See, I like treating the audience like they're smart. I like giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, so let's get to our ratings. Okay, so
Great.
you haven't done this since episode 4, Superman. So just to recap, the question is, are you seeing this movie? And the options are opening night / theaters, you'll stream it if nothing else is on, or are you a hard pass? Another option is you'll watch it while working out, if you want that as an option as well.
You know, it's tough. I think I'm going to say theaters. I think I'm going to see it in theaters because I think even if it's as bad as it could be, there's going to be a couple of moments that are going to be really cool on the big screen, and I like the movie theater experience. So I think I'll see it in theaters. If I don't see it opening night and Rotten Tomatoes is like 13%, I'll stream it. But my initial reaction to this trailer is that it's not going to be as good as any of the John Wick movies, but I'll see it in theaters.
Okay. I'll see it in theaters depending on what else is coming out that weekend. Potentially opening night. We'll see, but definitely I'll see it in theaters for two big reasons. I like the John Wick world, or three reasons. I like the John Wick world. I like the action. I like that there's just a lot of like real stunts, real action. It's not just like, hey, CG, we're in a computer world and it's just all CG. And then Ana de Armas, I'm there. So I'll see it in theaters.
Did you see her Marilyn Monroe movie?
I didn't. I've heard that it's in my Netflix queue. It's been sitting there for a while. I've heard it's mixed reviews on that.
Yeah.
Should we guess what Evan's rating will be?
I feel like he's going to say stream it.
I mean, yeah, that's his go-to is stream it. I think he will actually watch while he's working out. That's like also his thing too. And I say this because we talked a while back when we were deciding what one of the next episodes to do, and we were debating. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to. I'm tired of IP heavy stuff. It's too much IP sequels and all that." And he's like, "Oh, let's do Jurassic World." And I was like, that's IP too. So I didn't really get his reason, but I kind of know going in like he wasn't excited for this. So I don't know. I actually don't know his take on the trailer. He may love it. He may think it looks cool and different, but based on that, I think he'll just like watch it while he's working out.
Yeah.
Evan, let us know in the comments what you're gonna do for this one.
And Evan, let us know how badly we spoiled Thunderbolts for you.
Cool. I think that's it. Hopefully we did a good job. Question for the audience. We can ask them which title is worse, From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, or Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. What is the worst title? I think it's Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice is probably the worst.
I think you just proved it by almost saying a better version of the same title. Batman versus, oh wait, no, it's Batman v Superman, which is dumber than versus, which still wouldn't have been a good title.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments which title you think is worse. And then as usual, we have our poll. Let us know if you're seeing this movie with the poll. And thanks for listening. Patrick, thanks for jumping on to co-host. We'll do it again.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right. Later.
See ya.